My name is B.Rech. Thank you all for coming. This is my audience. In the year of 2000, I started my kindergarten class at Swanson Elementary. As most students do when they start school, they experience a range of emotions. These emotions can range from being excited, to being scared, to being sad, and to being nervous. I had all those feelings too, but I did something that no one else in my class did. I did not talk at all to my teachers, not even in the classroom. But I would talk to a few close friends at recess. I talked all the time at home with my mom and dad. But once I got in a public place, I wouldn't talk at all. My kindergarten teacher shared concerns with my parents that I would not say one word in the class the entire day. My parents tried to reassure me. They told me, "Don't be so nervous." They supported me, but it didn't work. I experienced my whole kindergarten year without saying one word to my teacher or in the classroom. There were other anxious behaviors that I demonstrated. For example, going anywhere new would freak me out, sometimes to the point where I would physically get sick in the car driving there. Birthday parties or any social event would cause the same thing. These behaviors continued into my first grade class. I started the year without talking to teachers and adults and continued to only talk to those few close friends that I had in my kindergarten class at recess. However, things this year started to change. My teacher taught me to put my thumbs up or down to answer yes and no questions so I could learn how to communicate somehow and have some kind of participation in class. I started to talk to a few new friends in first grade once I started feeling comfortable around them. In kindergarten, I talked to my friends at recess, but once I saw that an adult was near me, or when I thought an adult could overhear me, I would stop talking. In first grade, though, if a teacher would come by me, I would continue to talk. I was okay with having adults listen to me, but I wouldn't directly talk to them. Finally, in May of my first grade year, I raised my hand for the first time to answer a question. This was a huge improvement. By the start of my second grade year, I would answer brief questions if asked. I wouldn't always volunteer, but at least I would participate if I was asked to. None of my early primary teachers would have ever guessed by sixth grade I would be viewed as a typical student without being labeled a select mute. Although I was able to overcome not talking in public, I still suffered and currently suffer from forms of anxiety. Talking in class still makes me really nervous, especially when I have to present a presentation or, in for this instant, a speech. I still don't like going to a new place. Sometimes I get nervous for no reason at all. I get nervous from taking a test to going out for a dinner party. I always seem to check and question my answers to make sure they were right. When I was young, some people thought I was being rude, and some even thought I was dumb because I wouldn't talk at all. The most predominant mental disorder in the United States is anxiety. The Anxiety and Depression Association of America have reported that anxiety affects 40 million people in the United States alone who are over the ages of 18. According to the New Oxford American Dictionary, the true definition of anxiety is a disorder that is characterized by a state of excessive uneasiness and apprehension, usually with compulsive behaviors and or panic attacks. Since most people who suffer from anxiety are usually quiet and obedient, the signs are usually missed. People who suffer from high anxiety are often viewed as being shy. Well, it's really more than just the typical nerves that everyone experiences now and then. Anxiety is something that cannot be controlled. Anxiety is a serious mental health problem that affects the emotional and physical well-being of that person who is suffering from that disorder. Most people don't know they are suffering from an anxiety disorder, so students who are diagnosed with anxiety disorder should be given alternative assignments for speeches. One type of anxiety is social anxiety. It affects about 15 million adults. The person who is suffering from social anxiety have a chronic fear of being watched and or judged. People with social anxiety cannot always overcome it. When they are trying to confront their fears, sometimes it ends with an unsuccessful result. They get very anxious before a speech, they feel uncomfortable through the entire speech, and they even get nervous about being judged after the speech. Someone can overcome social anxiety, but it needs to be completed in small steps. Public speaking can have its benefits. There are professional and personal benefits. For professional benefits, it lets a person skill build, it lets them have credibility, it lets them network, and can even help to get them a job. While there are also personal benefits. Personal benefits can have a person to develop courage, build confidence, learn to argue, and learn to persuade. But it is not something a student with social anxiety can handle. Students with anxiety disorders should be given alternative assignments when in a communications and or a speech class. Public speaking is too big of a step for a student with social anxiety or any other anxiety disorder to overcome. Speaking in front of a small group in a discussion is hard enough. There are a few alternative assignments that could help a social anxiety person feel more comfortable than giving a speech in front of a big group of their peers. One alternative assignment could be just giving their speech in front of their teacher at a different scheduled time other than their class time. This lets them present their speech to one person, and it's the one person that counts the most. They are only being judged by that one person, and that one person is their teacher. Another alternative assignment is how this class is set up. This class lets a person record their speech and send it to their teacher. This lets a person record their speech with people they feel more comfortable. Don't get me wrong, the person who is suffering from the anxiety disorder are still going to be nervous about presenting their speech, but they get to choose who their audience members are. For example, I choose my family because I feel more comfortable talking to my family than I do talking in front of a big group of people. In conclusion, students with anxiety disorders should be given alternative assignments for speeches. Anxiety makes it hard for students to work at the same level as someone else who is not suffering from anxiety. Public speaking is valuable, but it isn't always benefiting these students. Students should not be forced to do something that they cannot handle.